Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Oh, electricians have it, mechanics have it, and welders have it. Why don't we have it? As professional truck drivers, why do we not have Red Seal? Well, I'll tell you what. I was recently at a PTTAC event in Toronto, and that's exactly what we were talking about. If you don't know what PTTAC is, it's the Professional Truck Training Alliance of Canada. And we were there with insurance companies, we were there with carriers, we were there with training schools, we were there with people who are generally interested in the industry. And I gotta tell you, Red Seal is top of mind. And I don't know why, for someone who's been in this industry for 40 years, why we are still trying to get it. We're still trying to tell people why we should have it. The skilled trades have had it forever, and they're doing pretty well. Hey, today we're going to be talking about that. We're going to give you an event recap of what happened at the event. We've got a first of a three-part series. Part one is going to be the event recap in general. Part two is going to be talking about how the insurance people feel about it. And part three is going to be what the carriers are thinking about it. So join us for all of the parts on this important episode of Red Seal. Hey, before we get to that, though, let me tell you a little bit about Bison Transport. Until the end of March, you have an opportunity to get money for signing up with them that will kickstart your career into high gear. If you're a cross-border experienced truck driver, they are looking for you. $750 is a sign-on bonus they're offering until the end of March. If you are an owner-operator single, they're offering $1,500 for you to come and take a look at them. And if you are a team owner-operators, they're looking at a $3,000 sign-on bonus. Now, they're only offering this for a limited period of time, so you need to get on it now. But I can tell you that there's a lot of benefits to working with a team like Bison, not just steady miles, not just being paid on time, but if you're an owner-operator, things like discount on parts, discount on service, discount on fuel. I don't know if you've seen the news lately. Fuel prices are not going down, they're going up. So why not get on with a fleet that's going to take care of you and help you, be successful as an owner-operator through all of that. All right, let's get into our event recap we've got with PTTAC in Toronto talking about Red Seal. All right, here we go.
They're just hilarious. Great show. Good show. My favorite show.
Be sure to share the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
Thank you for tuning into
The Lead Pedal Podcast with your host Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
And now your host.
All right, let's talk Red Seal, shall we? All right, so we were at this event, and Lead Pedal Media has been covering this event. We covered a couple Toronto events. We covered their first annual conference last year in Calgary, Alberta in October, and we're looking forward to covering more events for them. Red Seal is exactly what we need in this industry. And if you've been listening to this podcast for a number of years or even a number of days or weeks, then you know that I've always been about the positive of this industry and making it better. And I've been talking to a lot of old school drivers in the last few months. You've probably heard some of those conversations I had with people like John DeGroot, Ice Road Trucker, OJ Sidor, who's a veteran owner-operator. Just a lot of conversations we've been having about the industry and about how to make it better. Why do you think all these experienced guys are making podcasts? Because they're trying to give back. They've had a really good industry. They've had a good career. It saved me. I was talking with Gordon McGill the other day. We did a joint podcast there together, and he was asking me the same question: why are you so passionate? Because it has saved us, and because for a long time there was a group of people, let's say, that did not know where to go. They did not know what they were going to do. They did not have a career path. They didn't say, hey, I'm going to be in finance, or I'm going to be, they kind of were just sitting there going, I certainly don't want to work in an office all day, and I don't want to have someone over my shoulder every moment of the day. It's freedom. That's what we wanted. That's, I think, if you look at a lot of the people that are in construction and trucking and skilled trades, and that's what they want. They want to work with their hands for the most part, and they just want to do something different than push a pen and push a paper and all of that kind of stuff. Now it's pushing computer screens is what you're doing. Do you make as much money as some of the others? Well, that's an argument for both sides. I think yes and no, depending on what you're doing. I will leave that alone. That's not the focus of today's show. But we are going to be talking about the importance of Red Seal. And this was a really good conference because it actually talked a lot about, you know what, I think it talked a lot about improving the industry, which I think is great. But here's the thing that really has gotten me, and I think the reason that PTTAC is on such a big run right now, because this conversation has not just started today. This conversation started, 10 years ago they were having that conversation. It never went anywhere. And what it's going to take the whole industry to kind of get on board and say, okay, we're willing to do the greater good. And that's what hasn't happened in the past. You know, every time they used to have they had a similar program, kind of an apprentice program for truck drivers years ago. It was voluntary. Well, if you only have 3 companies that are doing it, yeah, it might look good for them as far as a recruiting tool, but it's not gonna sway half the people in the industry to go there as opposed to somewhere else. You know, insurance, of course, has been a big deal, a part of this. So it's good to see them in the conversations, and they're all in agreement that something needs to be done. And I think we've gotten to the bottom in this industry where we've realized something's got to be done. We can't just keep all being for ourselves anymore. It's hurting us all, and everybody's losing. Our industry has one of the worst names going when it comes to safety, when it comes to professionalism. And if you think about what we're doing, we're driving 80,000-pound missiles, as it's been called in the industry. Like, you can do a lot of damage. I mean, yeah, okay. I'm not saying someone can't get hurt in some other field. You know, an electrician could take the lights out in the neighborhood. Happened to me too. Could take the lights out in the neighborhood. They could hurt themselves and electrocute themselves and die. Yeah, anything can happen in any industry. But when you think of truck driving and going down the road at hundreds of kilometers an hour and having 80,000 pounds pushing you as you do it, and not having the skill set to be able to know exactly what to do, how to handle that. And like, it's silly that we're even allowing someone with, a few hours of training, if that, to get on the road like that. Like, and when I look at all the conversations I've had with old school drivers, myself included, we did not start like that. I'm not saying don't give someone a chance in the industry. I'm not saying don't, allow a new person to drive. You know, we've had this conversation with the 18-year-olds. We've had this conversation with, the whole, do you go out of problems or whatever? Like, it was stepping stones what we did in the past. And every time I talked to an experienced veteran driver about it, we all had similar experiences. Some were luckier than others because they had the experience with a family member or something that was driving. If they're second, third generation drivers, I was first generation drivers. I had nobody to follow. Trust me, nobody knew about this. So thank God, I feel I had pretty good training. I did not have formal training. I did have somebody that was dedicated to me, that had experience, that came with second and third generation, that was a few years ahead of me, already had kind of the skills. And with some of the opportunities he had, I had the opportunities to learn too. So I feel I had pretty good training, and I certainly didn't have it in 6 weeks. I remember it took me a year from the time that I had my Class A certificate to drive with somebody else. It was almost a year before I actually got my license. And that was on a GMC gas job single axle tractor. You couldn't go fast enough to really hurt anything in the moving industry. And I remember going and practicing on weekends in our little industrial park where we were backing into people's docks on my own, like in a yard. Like, no one was there to say, hey, Bruce, go practice today. But I wanted to learn it. And I really, it was, and in moving, if you think back to the moving industry where I started, you didn't back up anywhere. Like, a lot of movers don't back up. You pull up to they're too long. They just pull up to the side of the driveway and they walk it in. So it's not like I was getting a lot of expertise on a daily basis backing into places, because we weren't really backing into anything. We weren't backing into docks. So why was I so big about backing up? Because I knew the crap that can happen if you don't know what you're doing. So I think this is, everybody thought about formal training, and I believe that you do need the training. Whether I'm not crazy when they brought in Melt, because I think they took away some of those opportunities for people that did have somebody that could teach them. Yeah, I understand there's a whole argument about teaching wrong ways and all that, but you had more access. Now you have no access. You know, they don't allow you to be trained by your father or somebody, which I think is wrong. I think that's good training in a way, as long as it's, you know, complemented with something else. Anyway, I'll leave that alone because I'm not here to talk about training necessarily. So here's what happened at the Red Seal. So it was held in Toronto. It started out with I'm going to say a social evening the night before at Lone Star. Big thank you to Kim Richardson and the team for putting that on, where some of the sponsors, some of the speakers, people that were kind of instrumental in putting things on were invited to a kind of a private party. It wasn't for the public. Very good. It was, you know, social and wings and all that kind of stuff. Had a really good time there. Great way to meet people. That's what I like the best, because it's those corner conversations, I call them, where, you know, you're sitting there and you're talking to somebody at a table or a bar or whatever, and you're talking about the industry, not with a mic on or not with the camera or anything like that. So I thought that was really cool. So anyway, it kicked off. It was held at IHSA, their office in by the airport in Mississauga, which was very good. They had the Alberta government there. So Lynn Vardy, who I talked with in Calgary and met there, who's the assistant deputy minister in Alberta, has been very, very active in getting PTAC rolling and attending the events. And I got to say, thank you to Lynn for coming out and doing that. Her and Kim Richardson, who's the senior advisor for PTAC. You guys probably know Kim. He also is the owner of KRTS and also Transrep. So they did a great little two-person interview panel, if you will. Then there was an update from Minister Drishan, the Minister of Transportation from Alberta. And the special announcement was that Red Seal is a go in Alberta starting June 2027. So that's what we need. Alberta's been really leading the charge on this, and I think the rest of us really need to get on board with it. Then there was an update from Mike Millian, the president of PMTC, as to why the Private Motor Truck Council of Canada is supporting Red Seal. IHSA did a presentation as well by Michelle Roberts, who's the Vice President of Stakeholder Relations, on Ontario's perspective on Red Seal, and they deal with the construction industry quite a bit. So they were really talking about that. Then Sean Duceppe, who's with the Ministry of Transportation, did an update on what's happening in the compliance oversight. Sean is a fun person to listen to. He's great to have out. So he was out there, and they also had Matt Moorer, who is the Assistant Deputy Minister for the Commercial Safety and Compliance Division, who was also kind of wasn't on the schedule, but he came out to support the Ministry of Transportation and did an update and said they were listening. So hopefully they're listening. Let's hope everybody is listening, and let's start these conversations. And then we had our insurance panel. Mike McCarran, who you guys know is a hoot no matter what. He moderated both panels, insurance and carrier. And you're going to hear those in different episodes. But it was good. So he had 4 insurance people on the panel discussing what their thoughts were about Red Seal, how they plan on kind of being a part of this new program. And then we had the carriers. And everybody's in agreement that Red Seal is needed. How we get there is where all the discussions are really going to start. And then we had an update from Blue Drop, Tom Lauder, talking about national instructor qualifications and how they're working. And then Don McDonald finished off with some of the, he's the chairman of PTAC, and he was talking about what's happening going forward and that kind of thing. So we had some really interesting panels and discussion, which if you go to PTAC's website, ptac.ca, you can probably see a lot of the stuff there. There's probably photos and all that, because I know I sent them there. So hopefully they've got them there. You can also see some stuff on our channel as well, but there's more stuff on theirs that they need to do. Anyway, but this was a really good kickoff. And I think the feeling I'm seeing for everybody in the room is the power of everybody working together. Could you imagine if we've got all of Canada, especially in today's political climate, of all of Canada working together, making our place better. I can tell you from what I used to hear being in the States, Canadian carriers were kind of above the bar. When I used to run the U.S., we had a really good name. Like, there wasn't a lot of the, the trucks were always kind of nicer, to a point. And I'm not talking show truck stuff. I'm talking, your basic big carrier stuff like that. Like, the Canadian carriers had a good name in the States. And now I don't think any carrier has a good name anywhere. And, it's a full fight. And unfortunately, just like social media, just like anything else, the less people hear from the good people, the more they assume the whole industry is the way the bad people are. And this is what's happening in the training part of it. This is what's happened in the carrier part of it. This is what's happened in the driver part of it. We don't hear from the drivers who are doing a really good job and being safe and getting our products down the road and doing it because they're busy doing what they're doing. We hear from the ones who work for bad carriers who are sitting around, have time to get on social media or prove that they're doing things wrong or are caught on cameras now because every vehicle has a camera. Every stop sign has a camera. Everybody's getting caught on camera. And because social media is there, everybody's pushing that stuff out to make it, so they get paid for clicks or whatever they're reasoning for, or maybe they just think it's funny. But while you're thinking it's funny, you're actually degrading the whole industry at the same time, which is one of the reasons that I don't show that stuff. It's not that I don't know what's going on. I see it daily. I trying with Lead Pedal Media to be a positive voice in the industry. And I hope that you are too. And that's why I'm excited to see what's going on with Red Seal. I work closely with a lot of the members that are there in and outside of PTTAC. And so I'm excited to see what happens. Now, I had a great time talking with people in the hallway. You want to scare people off, just take your camera out into the hallway and see what's going to be done. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to share with you some of the conversations I had. Before we do that, though, I need to make sure I tell you about Ontario Truck Driving School. We're talking training right now. They are one of the schools that I feel are above board. They've been around since 1978. They have multiple courses. If you're looking to get started properly, whether it be in the heavy equipment construction industry or in the truck driving industry, Ontario Truck Driving School should be. If you're in Ontario, Canada, OTDS.com, they got 9 locations. Just check out the stuff they got going on. That is the start. You want to be part of the solution. It starts with you getting the proper training, if that's where you are. If you're already past that point, it's about you doing things safely and properly and putting in the professionalism that we need. That's what everybody's been telling me about this. All right. Hey, when we come back, we're going to start off with some of the conversations I had with people at PTTAC. People like Lynn Vardy, people like Don McDonald, people like Leo Barrows. I had a lot of conversations with people, so I'm going to share some of that with you when we come back. All right? Stay tuned.
Be sure to share the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
A couple years that I've been involved have been awareness, and here's what it is. I've got a couple of conversations coming up. What's the next step now that you've announced the going ahead of the solution?
Well, it's the hard work to get it in place, basically. So we're working very closely with our partner ministry, Advanced Education, and it's really now developing the detailed curriculum and competency framework.
Have you had any discussions? I know you've had a lot of discussions with insurance and carriers. Have you had any with drivers specifically? Are they what's the temperature, if you will?
I haven't had specific discussions, but the association in Alberta has. My understanding is many drivers are really looking forward to the trade designation again because it professionalizes their industry and moves them from being a non-skilled profession to a skilled profession, and that's important for folks.
It is. I'm one of those veteran drivers, and I'm actually going in to talk to a high school next week about careers, and every time I bring that up, I get the eye roll, but it saves someone like me. Like, I started when I was 18, so I'm really into this. Is Ontario on board? We're on board as far as the industry part here, like what we're seeing today, but in general, is there consensus across Canada?
I would say folks are watching Alberta to see how this goes and how it rolls out. I mean, I think, unanimously we all agree. Improving safety. If Red Seal certification does that, we all need to be working toward that goal.
I'm hoping to see it. I'm hoping to see it before my lifetime. So Lynn, please work faster. Great tribute to Scott Thomas. I talked to him in Alberta as well. So we had another crash not too long ago. So has that improved the need for this? We all thought that first one was going to be the last, and now we're having another one. Never mind the minor ones we see. Are you seeing more people kind of say, okay, we need to do something very...
we had another incident in Alberta, and it's a very sad time for those folks.
Oh, there we go, yeah.
What do you think of the program?
Yeah. Oh, I thought, again, the passion in the room was fantastic. And, the one thing I do think is I do think it needs to be mandatory.
Yeah.
There needs to be, I guess, the political will to make it mandatory. From what I heard today, the insurers, the carriers would be on side with that being mandatory. But you're going to have to, if you want to weed out the bottom feeders, you're going to have to force them to do something and pay some money. So
Red Seal, good idea? Red Seal, good idea?
Oh, Red Seal is a fantastic idea, and that's what I'm saying. It'll give maybe that exposure that this industry, it really is a trade. And there's a special skill set that needs to be in place.
Someone who's done it, I know it.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody that's been to Jersey knows that. Anyway, Thanks for your time today.
Right.
Good seeing you again, as always. Thoughts on the program today? You've been involved before.
Yeah, lots of suggestions, loads of information, and loads of challenges. That's what I see. And a lot of people talking about insurance. They put them on the spot over there. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. You think Red Seal's a good idea, though?
I think it's a good idea. How it gets implemented, and people, if they have, as Mike said, skin in the game. Actually, I was planning to ask the guys how many of the carriers out there pay by the mile or they pay long-haul drivers by the hour. I didn't get a chance to ask that question, but, unless you start paying drivers by the hour, especially for jobs things that are involved in the job, which is out of their reach, or their, like waiting, traffic, and they're chasing miles, right? So that's the sad part of the whole situation.
Well, thanks for being in today. Good. We'll see you again soon. Probably at Truck World, I guess, be the next one maybe for us. So thanks for being part of it. Awesome. I think it's a good thing. It's nice to see it gaining some momentum and actually moving the bar. Like the announcement is at least someone's listening up there, right? So what's next for you guys? You're here. I don't know if it's called the road show, but you're here. So are you going next? Are you going to another province? Is this kind of the...
Yeah, we're looking at having one in Alberta as well. And, we've got a couple of other events coming up, throughout the summer months here. And our conference, that'll be our biggest one, will be the conference in October 7th in, actually it's October 6th. In
Saskatoon, right?
Saskatoon, yeah. So it's going to be pretty exciting for that one.
Yeah, that's great. I was at your first annual conference and it was awesome. You did a great job. You got to relax. You're still looking nervous though, and you're a professional speaker now.
Hey, there's a lot to it, and for sure, it takes me out of my comfort zone a little bit. But you know what? When you believe in something as strongly as I do about moving the industry forward with a designated trade and a Red Seal, you just got to put all that behind you and move forward, and hopefully we get there.
And you went through an audit, so you're the first one to go through the audit, your school that you work at, right? So is that we need to do more of that, right? We need to do more of that across the country.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just glad Lynn brought that up. We did get, when we talk about compliance and oversight, even the chairman of PTTAC is not exempt, so our school was audited as well. And, obviously I'm here today, so.
Well, as I say, lead by example. So that's what you've done, my friend. So great job up there. What should people do next? You guys had some big carriers have signed on. Seems like you've got government on, there's a lot of training. what should people do? Like if they're watching this video or they're attending the event, what do you want them to do next?
Well, we're always open for membership. The more members we're louder, the stronger we are. So I would really like to see schools. Any school that has any thoughts of joining, please reach out to us. We'll be reaching out to a lot of other schools as well throughout the country. But I would really like to see the school membership grow more this year for sure.
Yeah, well, it's good. Well, we're keeping the word going, and I'm looking forward to more of the event. We're halfway through on our break here, and it's been a great event. So keep up the good work, buddy. You're doing a good job.
Thanks, Bruce. Always appreciate it. Glad to see you.
Session of interviews. I hope you enjoyed that. You can check out video footage of the event if you want on our YouTube channel. Go check it out over there. Hey, I want to say a big shout out to our friends over at Driver Check. They just celebrated 30 years in business in February, and that's a great accomplishment. Well done, my friends. You guys have been leaders in the drug and alcohol system for a long time, so good to see that for sure. Hey, don't check out their Fitness for Duty Summit. They've got some great stuff coming out. It's virtual this year. It's going to be in October. Go to drivercheck.ca and you can learn all about it. Congratulations, and by the way, they are also our sponsor of the month for Lead Pedal Media. So thank you, Driver Check, for your support on both our radio and podcast sides and all the things you do for the industry. We appreciate that. Drivercheck.ca. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got a lot out of that. Big shout out to PTTAC. If you want to learn more about PTTAC, go to ptac.ca and you can learn all about them. Check out their events. They've got more events coming out. I will also tell you to check out, we had Scott Thomas from Humboldt last year at the PTTAC event. He's going to be talking at TransRep's event coming up in April at the Recruiting and Retention Symposium. So check out transrep.ca. You want to be in the room. That was one of the most powerful speeches we ever had. And I can tell you, Tim Arnold's going to be the keynote over at the symposium for NRS as well. And I've seen Tim speak. He's awesome. You do not want to not be in the room. We're going to be in the room. I want you to be in the room. All right, my friends, we will talk to you later. Be good out there. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Bye for now.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.